Welcome to the channel and welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's jump straight into it, and we're going to kick off with the striker talk. There's been an explosion of news. Sounds like a club brief potentially as well, with the amount of noise going on regarding the striker situation at United. So some very interesting updates that we're going to run through. And let's start with none other than The Athletic, and specifically Ollie Whitwell, who's a very credible source when it comes to United. I think he's one of the best United journalists around, saying that Manchester United have narrowed their striker search down to two names, Ollie Watkins and Benjamin Sesko. United had held back from Sesko due to the finances required, but talks have now taken place to establish some details around a potential move. The same has occurred for a Watkins deal. So obviously the news over the last couple of days has been regarding us and Sesko and us in talks and Newcastle and all that stuff, and we'll go through all the latest regarding Sesko in a bit. So we know we've had conversations with Sesko's camp and his agent, discussing personal terms, etc. But interesting that Ollie Whitwell said that the same has occurred for Ollie Watkins as well. So we've started to open the doors and open conversations with Watkins as well. Then it becomes a straight shootout, doesn't it, between the two? And according to Ollie Whitwell, they're the two names on the list, Ollie Watkins and Benjamin Sesko. So the obvious question to ask, who you picking? Who's your preference? Let me know in the comments below. Who would your preference be out of Ollie Watkins and Benjamin Sesko if we've narrowed the striker search down to those two specific targets? Personally, and we'll go through the rest of the news afterwards in a second. Personally, I'm tipping more towards Ollie Watkins. It does depend on the price, because if it's 60 for Watkins and then 69 for Sesko, I'm probably going to go with Sesko in that case because of the sell-on value. But I just think Ollie Watkins is what we need right now, and the risk with Sesko's are there. But again, we'll all have different opinions and preferences on that one. And to be fair, I'd be happy with either ultimately. So if it is Sesko, I'd be cool with it. If it's Watkins, I'd be cool with that. I would prefer Watkins. I just think he's what we need right now. But you will all have different, like I said, we'll all have different opinions on that. But let me know yours in the comments below. Let's go through the rest of the news though regarding each player. Firstly though, Ollie Whitwell also said that Manchester United explored a deal for Nicholas Jackson, but a potential deal has been ruled out due to the cost. So the fact that Chelsea, it came out saying they want 80 to 100 million pounds. I think there's been a few reports around 60, 65 million around that for Nicholas Jackson. Is not the sort of price I don't think that we want to pay for Jackson. So, the fact that they've put that, because had it been a cheaper price for Jackson, he would be a viable option. Could still be though towards the end of the transfer window, because things can change quite quickly. And if we don't get Watkins and Sesko goes to Newcastle, maybe they do pivot to Jackson. But at the moment, no potential deal has been ruled out due to the cost on that one. I know that might make some of you happy, and some of you might actually not be happy with that one as well. But going off of the comments from previous videos, I think there was a big concerns around Jackson. So but give us your shouts on that in the comments. Now let's go for the Watkins news first. So although Aston Villa maintain that Watkins is not for sale, United believe a bid of around £45 million may be enough to persuade them to sell the England striker. United are weighing up a bid for Watkins, who will be 30 in December, but has extensive Premier League experience, a key factor in United buying Brian Mbeumo and Mateus Cunha this summer. Now, that came from Chris Wheeler, also saying that United are interested in Watkins. £45 million, I would be comfortable with that, I think, for his experience. I saw a stat that was since he joined the Premier League in 2020, he's the third highest goal scorer behind Mo Salah and Erling Haaland. So, you're getting an experienced, seasoned striker, and it would remind me a little bit, not the same circumstances, so don't take what I'm going to say next out of context, right? Because we are in completely different stages and completely different leagues compared to this. But it would remind me a little bit of Van Persie. We signed Van Persie when he was 29 going on 30, because at that time we needed a goal scorer, because we just lost the league the season before on goal difference, and Fergie went out and bought one of the best goal scorers in the Premier League in Van Persie, and then that helped us go on to lift the title. Now, Watkins is obviously not going to come in and help us lift a title because we're not nowhere near challenging for a title, but it would feel a little bit similar where somebody could come in and just help us score goals so we can win games and climb up the league from where we finished last season, and then potentially get back into Europe, and then help us get into Champions League. And by then you've got the money and the resources to go out and get a better striker in the future. That's how it would feel to me. So for £45 million, I don't think it would be a bad shout at all as well. But I know some of you will disagree with that in the comments. But that's for cool. Football's all about opinion. And then Samuel Lucas also said, though, that Ollie Watkins would be open to joining Manchester United this window. So that's good that Ollie Watkins would want to come to United as well. There is talks of a rift between him and Unai Emery as well. So, you know, that could be going in our favour as well. And again, we want to sign players who want to come to United as well. We know we want Premier League experience as well. So, you know, Watkins is, you know, definitely a viable option because obviously he's one of the two strikers that we've chosen. Go for all the news on the other one though, because the main headlines are around Sesko. He seems to be the one that actually we've been in talks with, or that's been reportedly that we're in talks with as well. So Fabrizio Romano on his Instagram yesterday said that there is a battle ongoing between Newcastle and Manchester United to get to Benjamin Sesko. So Romano is pushing hard on the United and Newcastle, you know, battle, I suppose, for Benjamin Sesko. Florian Plettenberg, though, who did actually report the news yesterday that United had made contact with Sesko's agent before Romano. He is credible, I think, when it comes specifically to Bundesliga news. Said that Manchester United are not giving up on Benjamin Sesko. Manchester United have presented the player with clear figures and their project. Sesko is impressed by Manchester United's efforts to sign him. However, Newcastle are fully in the race and not backing down. An offer is ready to be submitted at any time. Leipzig are now demanding at least 80 million euros, which is around 69 million pounds. So it's just under 70 million pounds, I think, the price for Benjamin Sesko. But interesting that Florian Plettenberg saying that we're presented a salary offer, bonus offer, you know, and the project, and he's been impressed by our efforts to try to sign him, but Newcastle are still there, and Newcastle are pushing hard for the deal as well. Fabrizio Romano also said later on in a video that in an interview that he did with DAZN, saying that my understanding is that Newcastle already spoke to the agents of the player, they presented the project, they are prepared to pay whatever it takes to get Sesko, but Manchester United is still in the race. They have made contact in the recent days after discussing Sesko internally. Now they are working on player side to present their project and to understand if financially they can make it happen. So we know that we're in talks with Sesko and his agent. That's the situation, but so are Newcastle. And at the time of recording this video, there's no more news. Normally, though, Romano posts something as I'm uploading the video. So sod's law, there'll be an update, you know, just after I've uploaded this video, but it is what it is with that. Now, Rob Dawson also said that sources say Manchester United are confident Benjamin Sesko would pick United over Newcastle if they press ahead and begin talks with RB Leipzig. So that's really interesting from Rob Dawson. Chris Wheeler said Manchester United believe they will be able to afford Benjamin Sesko through player sales. So as we know, we're in a position where we would need to sell to buy. I think maybe we could do something with Watkins, depending on the not the outright fee, but the monetization around it, whereas we spread that cost over like a 2 or 3 year period. But obviously Sesko is a much higher cost in terms of the transfer fee. So yes, we would need to probably sell or make space in order to go for Sesko. We'll go through all the exit news in a bit. However, the Matt Law from the Times has said that sources close to Benjamin Sesko's negotiations indicate Newcastle is currently the most likely destination for the player. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments. It does look like, you know, Sesko and Watkins, if we've started talks with Sesko, as we know, Romano's, because I've always felt with the Sesko one, that I felt we were being used to start with by RB Leipzig, putting United's name in the mix as a way to get more money out of Newcastle. But when Romano's coming out saying it, there's not many more credible than Romano out there. I get some of your frustrations around the clickbait and stuff with him, right? But he is accurate with what he says.
And so when he's saying it, and then you've had Laurie Whitwell also confirming it as well. So we're clearly in talks with Sesko. I think the Sesko deal will come down to his personal preference. This is what I believe, reading between the lines. I think whoever agrees the personal terms with Sesko will obviously win that race, because there's no point then starting a bidding war with RB Leipzig if the player's chosen to go to Newcastle, chosen to come to United. And I think maybe we are pushing, even though we would still need sales in order to get Sesko, we could make him wait like we'd like him, but we waited obviously a while for Mbeumo to come through, and Mbeumo was turning down other clubs because he only wanted to come to United, even though Brentford wanted a bit of a bidding war for him and were putting out false reports around Tottenham making a £70 million bid and all the shenanigans they were up to. The ultimate reason for that was, that deal came down to Mbeumo saying, no, I only want to go to United. I don't want to speak to anyone else. So I think United are maybe trying to do something like that with Sesko, by get the personal terms agreed and get his buy-in so that he rejects Newcastle, and then we can get some exits, and then maybe go start the negotiations with RB Leipzig, or do all of that and then just say, okay, we need to get a few exits out before we can get the cash in order to do the deal. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. But yeah, give us your thoughts and feelings on the striker situation in the comments below, as I am sure that you will. Now, keeping with Romano, he also said that Manchester United could make 2 or maybe 3 more signings before the end of the window. Now, we've already heard that from David Ornstein, where he said striker is the next area, and then in no particular order, midfielder and goalkeeper. And Romano was saying the same thing, that he thinks, striker, obviously we're working on Sesko. Now we know we're potentially working on Ollie Watkins as well, but also midfielder and goalkeeper are the other 2 positions. Now, interestingly, though, on the goalkeeper, Donnarumma, another name being linked. Now, this time from actually a decent source. So, Gianluigi Donnarumma has not yet left, even though his agents are exploring the market to find him a new destination. The Italian goalkeeper has options. Manchester United, Manchester City, Galatasaray, and the Saudi clubs are interested. However, he remains attached to PSG and will only leave if a project fully suits him. And then internally, the possibility of seeing Chevrolet and Donnarumma compete with Luis Enrique making the final decision is not ruled out. Now, that came from Fabrice Hawkins, who's a good source of information when it comes specifically to like French news. I think he was quite good around the Lenny Yoro situation last summer as well, if I remember rightly. Basically saying, look, United City, I still think we're getting played here somewhere with the Donnarumma links, where it's agent talk, linking United to generate interest, or maybe to get PSG to come back to the table to offer him a new contract. According to Fabrice Hawkins, though, they could be possibly going for Chevrolet and Donnarumma to compete and have, Chevrolet as like the understudy to Donnarumma as well. But Luis Enrique has not ruled that out as well. So again, this feels a little bit like we're just being used, in my opinion. We'll wait and see how it plays out, because if he does become available and we do get some exits done and we have some money available, then potentially. But the only way we're getting a goalkeeper is we've got to sell a goalkeeper first, Onana or Bayinda. And at the moment, the reality is we ain't selling them because there's no interest in them. There's no bids, there's no talks, there's not even a rumour of a club interested in Bayinda, let alone Onana. So I can't see us going for a goalkeeper unless something changes there. But obviously, transfer window's still open, things can change, clubs can make late bids and stuff like that as well. So, but yeah, give us your thoughts on Donnarumma in the comments. Now, Fabrizio Romano said, my percentage today of Dibu Martinez's chance to join Manchester United is 35%. Not that optimistic. There's a very big gap between the clubs and a complicated story. So obviously we've made a loan inquiry for Martinez, but that was rejected by Villa. They're still holding firm. They want 30 to 40 million pounds, it's believed, for Martinez. And again, I don't think we're going to do that unless we sell Onana, and we're not in the process of selling Onana as at the time of recording. Laurie Whitwell, though, said that Manchester United are effectively ruling out a move for Martinez at Villa. They have been told he can only leave on a permanent deal, and the cost is not something United will entertain. So as I mentioned, they're asking for 30, 40 million pounds for Martinez, and we're not doing that without selling Onana. And also, Laurie Whitwell said, though, interestingly, United have put their search for a new goalkeeper on hold unless Altay Bayinda leaves the club. So that's interesting as well, because we've had obviously the links with Sané Lamens. I thought Sané Lamens might be, plausible because it's relatively cheap and stuff. But again, Laurie Whitwell's right in what he's saying. You can't bring a goalkeeper in if you've still got 3 goalkeepers. You need to sell Bayinda, and then maybe Lemensby comes in as the number 2. I could see that being plausible, but as I've mentioned, there's no links with Bayinda going anywhere at this moment in time. There's not even a remote story about any interest in him going. So, effectively, the latest on the goalkeeper, whether you're going to want to hear this or not, is it looks like we're not going to be getting a goalkeeper this transfer window unless something changes. That's just going off of the reports at this today, but that's the reality because we have to sell in that position to buy, and there's no links with anyone leaving. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments. One goalkeeper, though, that did leave is Vitek. So Manchester United's goalkeeper, Radek Vitek, has signed a new deal at Old Trafford till 2028. The 21-year-old will additionally join Bristol City in the Championship for the 25-26 season. So that was in the Manchester Evening News. So Vitek signed a new contract till 2028. His loan, he was reported to go on loan, but that fell through. So now he's going on loan to Bristol City in the Championship as well. That's actually be good, I think, as well. Some proper football in the Championship, men's football. I think that'll be good for his development as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on regarding that. But give us your thoughts on the goalkeeper news in the comments below, as I am sure you will. But as mentioned earlier, we know we're in a position where we do need exits. We need to sell some players in order to get the cash to probably do anything else in the transfer window. So let's go through all the latest on exits. So Laurie Whitwell and The Athletic said that Alejandro Garnacho is still waiting on potential interest from Chelsea. While there's significant interest in Antony, no advanced talks have taken place. Man United's ongoing pursuit of a striker cast doubt over Rasmus Højlund's future, and Jadon Sancho continues to attract interest from Italy, and we've got a bit of news on all of those players as well. So we're still in the same. It's just frustrating, isn't it? This is dragging its heels, the exits, but we know the reasons why. Antony's waiting to go to Betis. Jadon Sancho doesn't want to take a pay cut. Garnacho only wants to stay in the Premier League. Højlund wants to stay, but will only go if he's told to leave, and we can't tell him to go until we buy a striker. Oh, God. And then on Garnacho, Chelsea remain interested in Manchester United winger Alejandro Garnacho, and the arrival of Xavi Simons won't necessarily rule out a potential move for the Argentine. So Matt Law, again, who's a good source, saying that, if Chelsea sign Simons, they're still going to want to go and sign Garnacho, and that doesn't surprise me. I think, if you've got a pulse and you play football and you're half decent, Chelsea will probably sign you, even though they've got 15 other players in that position ahead of them. They'll still imagine being Giovanni Kenda. You've just, agree to go Chelsea next summer, and they're buying all of these forwards in front of you as well before you've even stepped foot in the door. That's the Chelsea situation and their transfer model, so it doesn't surprise me at all. Romano said that Chelsea want both Alejandro Garnacho and Xavi Simons this summer. There's a possibility they sign both, but the priority now is Simons. So Chelsea are working on getting Xavi Simons, and then after that, potentially they're going to move for Garnacho. And it does seem like Chelsea is the destination for Garnacho at this time. Slight interest from Villa, I think Tottenham potentially as well, but it seems like he's holding out for Chelsea. It seems like they've I don't want to say tapped him up, but they've maybe agreed a deal or done something where they're going to go for him after they get Xavi Simons done. That seems to be the most plausible destination at this particular moment in time. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments. And then Jadon Sancho. So there is contact between Dortmund and Jadon Sancho. He is open to a return. Manchester United want around 18 to 20 million euros. Dortmund are thinking about the deal and are discussing it internally. They are still undecided. So Sky Sports Germany suggesting that Dortmund might come back in for Jadon Sancho, and we know obviously that their relationship there as well. Shame we couldn't get a full refund on the player that we signed, but that's obviously not going to happen. Patrick Berger, who's a good source as well, close with Dortmund, was saying that Jadon Sancho is still being discussed internally at Dortmund. Manchester United want around 18 to 20 million euros, so saying the same thing as what was reported in Sky Germany. Interestingly, though, Turkish media are saying that the Jadon Sancho deal could potentially happen at Besiktas, who have emerged as a possible destination, because obviously there's been no movement since Ornstein came out and said, I don't know what anyone's on about Jadon Sancho to Juventus. There's not been any more links with Jadon Sancho going back to Juventus, or hardly any. All that noise was, I don't know whether it was made up or whether it's because they signed Conceição, because there were some reports saying that it was Conceição or Jadon Sancho, so maybe that could be linked with that as well. But yes, it's the silence is deafening when it comes to Sancho and Juventus. Surprisingly, since Ornstein came out and poured cold water on that fire, and we've heard links with the Turkish league before, but Sancho, was it not a report that said Sancho would want like £14 million a year or something to go to the Turkish league? But again, later on it becomes in the transfer market. I could see Dortmund making a move. As long as Dortmund don't try and loan him again, that's the only thing I care about with Sancho. Ben Jacobs said that Borussia Dortmund are currently debating whether to make an approach for Jadon Sancho. Manchester United are prepared to sell for £17 million. Juventus are still in talks with Jadon Sancho. So yeah, that's the latest regarding him, but give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Now, interestingly, so going back to the Romano story, so 3 more potential incomings, and David Ornstein, striker, goalkeeper, midfielder, obviously striker. According to these reports, or according to today's news, which could be different tomorrow, but according to those reports, Ollie Watkins or Sesko. Goalkeeper looks less likely going off of those reports unless somebody is sold. Midfielder, we've not really had many links on. There's been a few Italian media saying Hjulmand over the last couple of days. Louise, we've been linked with tentatively. But Laurie Whitworth said, in the background, the search is underway for a mobile midfielder, albeit the balance sheet is a factor. So again, if we're looking to sell, and if we do sell Garnacho and we do get rid of, Anthony and all of that, and we get the wages and freeze up, it will give us a significant amount, I think, to go for the rest of the transfer windows. Just we need to get a budge on with them. Everyone's dragging their heels when it comes to exits, and all the clubs wanting to buy, the clubs are dragging their heels as well. But that will be interesting as well. Mobile midfielder. I know some of you are going to say a few names in the comments, Belieber being one of them. I don't think we would have the funds to go for Belieber, as exciting as that would be. I can't see that happening. He's going to be like £100 million plus, and I don't think we're going to be able to pull that sort of money out. But give us some shouts, because again, the midfield links are very quiet, really, considering it is an area that we are looking to strengthen. So they are keeping their cards close to the chest when it comes to that. But that's going to be exciting to see who we actually go for later on in the transfer window. Hopefully, if we get some sales done. Oh, and we've just had an announcement. So Harley Emston James has signed for Manchester United at the time of recording this video. Proud and grateful to sign for Manchester United, a dream come true and the start of an exciting new chapter. So that's the young defender from Southampton has been officially signed. Photo of him in a shirt. I'll bring you the update on that in the future as well. But yeah, just interrupted myself there. Keeping with the midfield though, Toby Collyer is set to leave Manchester United on loan this summer. The 21-year-old is one of 5 central midfielders available to head coach Ruben Amorim, and United's intention to facilitate a move for Collyer is expected to clear the pathway for a new midfield signing. So we could be looking to do something with Collyer. A sale, maybe with an option to buy or an obligation to buy if we don't fancy him. Could potentially be a permanent exit as well. But obviously it says to leave on loan this summer, which would clear the pathway for a midfield signing. I don't know if that's just we need to create squad space, or maybe if we do get a little loan fee and stuff, maybe it would be then viable for us to bring in a cheaper midfield option. Sources say Collyer has to go on loan for the benefit of his development, and United are planning to okay a move despite Collier's determination to challenge for a place, because Laurie Whitworth said that Toby Collyer on possible loan this window said, first and foremost, I want to be here, play as many games for Man United as possible. I'll sit down with the manager and higher ups and see what's the best solution for that to develop, whether it's stay here or go on loan. So Toby Collier's already given an interview suggesting that he wants to stay and play games, but obviously if his game time's going to be limited because of no European football and the fact we've only got domestic football this year, then he'll have to sit down and maybe make a decision on a loan move and stuff, which would actually be fair enough for his development as well. Because we haven't got that many games this season, and then if it does create space, maybe for us to go and get a midfielder, that would be cool as well. But give us some thoughts on that in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video. That's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.